My brother Harrison on here, and we will get this thing started.
On the other side, I do remember Chris Barnett. This is one of my
Yeah,
favorite dudes I've ever seen fight because I was like, that's me if I literally went out and fought tomorrow, but like way, way more technique than I would have, right?
oh
And
man,
also
yeah,
striking technique, not grappling technique, and his body is not a striker's body. And he's
no,
fighting he's
at all.
fighting Gian Villante, GIAN for all you New Yorkers out there. Shout out Madison Square Garden. Fighting Gian
Right on.
Villante, and they're in Madison Square Garden for all those people at home that aren't aware of that. So there are a few New Jersey guys, or there's one New Jersey guy, like three New York guys on this card. It was meant to kind of be around them. Not one of them won. I don't know if you noticed that last night.
Yeah, I
Like the
had a
Upper East
feeling
corner got slapped last night.
that
Uh,
region has not been produced like that region. Like all those fighters that were on the card were kind of past their prime for the most part.
yeah, I know. With the exception of maybe one guy we'll get into. I guess there were actually six guys from New York now I'm looking at the card. Jesus. But anyway, we have Chris Barnett. This is a heavyweight fight. I had him coming to the cage at plus 105. Is that what you got?
I think it finished at plus 110, so the more
Okay,
money was
okay.
even coming on Vellante. Yeah,
Right. And
Vellante at
then
minus
minus 130?
130.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. So plus 110,
and
minus 130 for Vellante. Now, Vellante used to fight at 205. This is his retirement fight. Me and you have addressed this before on the show. I think maybe ad nauseum at this point. If you announce this your retirement fight, I will bet all my money against you every single time. I will never
yeah.
bet for that person to win. Never.
Honestly, the fact that he was favored is
Ah,
honestly, I was
shocking.
shocked.
Ah,
I was shocked.
shocking.
That Barnett bet, little foreshadowing, that was a good bet to place at the plus 110. But on paper, tough to convince yourself because Barnett's coming in at 5'9". He's 0-1 in the UFC. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
look
So
at him. Look
he,
at
he,
him. What
he
do you
looks like a
mean?
guy. He looks like a guy that'd be tough to put your money on.
I don't even want to be that guy that's just like, oh, look at this guy. He can't do anything. Like, there's plenty of athletes in the NFL where I'm like, oh, if I looked at him in regular clothes, I wouldn't think that. Okay, not the point. If you look at Chris Barnett and you see the Spanish flag being flown for him, which I also don't understand at all, there's no fucking way you'd bet your money on this guy. Okay, let's just be real. Like, I don't even want to. His nickname is Beast Boy. There's another guy, Mike Davis, in the UFC that already has that nickname. I don't mean to be a hater. And when I saw him get subbed by Ben Rothwell in the second round in a non-competitive fight, I just immediately assumed this guy's not that good.
Yeah, I assumed that like he was just like some guy that they needed as a last replacement. But Barnett, he does have a decent little following, and he's been fighting in a long time at other organizations. And he is way more athletic than his build would suggest. But man, in round one, I actually had it to Vellante. Barnett wasn't able to really figure it out and get inside. I mean, when a 5'9" guy's fighting a 6'3" guy, it rarely that they have success fast. Usually it takes a
Yeah.
while. So that's essentially what happened there. It's not like Vellante looked great. He actually didn't look great really at all. But whether it was because he wasn't trying to take the risks yet or he hadn't figured it out yet, whatever the case may be, Barnett wasn't able to really to get much off and get inside and figure out the distance in the first round. So kind of by de facto, I give it to Vellante. Like I said, he didn't look great. He was throwing a few kicks, a little bit better activity, was able to keep that distance. I'm kind of spinning it like Barnett couldn't figure it out. I guess if you wanted to be glass half full guy, you could say that Vellante was doing a good job of keeping the distance. But yeah, right. Oh, yes, yeah. I feel you. That's not really how I saw it.
Every time I looked at Vellante from a side angle, it looked like you took a Tootsie Pop and cut it in half, and just that's all I was looking at. It was just like a stick with like this huge ball at the bottom, and I was like, "Why is his stomach like this?" And then I
He
remembered,
weighed 260 as a
yeah, and
former
then I remembered, oh,
205.
he put on 54 pounds, and it's all in his stomach.
That's
I
all fat.
forgot,
It's all
right,
burger.
dude?
It's
It's
all Angus
all
beef.
it's Long Island. That's Long
Yeah.
Island weight, baby, and like that's
That's
Coney's.
that's cocktail and
Stacking.
conies. Cocktails and conies for days, bro. Yes.
What sucks is like John Vellante is not a terrible fighter. He's never
No.
been like awesome to watch. Like you were never gonna get the best shot of John Vellante, and that's just like the case of his career, right? Like he's just been like a super solid striker. But when you look at him, fuck man, 3 years ago, like he was like pretty fit, like had like
Well,
a
even so,
pretty
like
good build.
whenever they like do these like last fight kind of guys, they always kind of say complimentary things about the person, right? Even if they had an up and down career. The best compliment they were paying, it was like, oh, he was a great training partner of Chris Weidman. Like that was like essentially like the peak of the compliments on his retirement fight. Am I wrong? Like that was like the nicest thing they had to say. Joe Rogan was straight up roasting him, calling him fat, which is kind of hilarious.
I mean, he was fat though, right?
He was fat. 100%.
For the way Chris Barnett looks, that's a body type. The way Gian Villante looks is like you eat too much bad food. Like because the rest of his body was fine. His stomach was absurdly big. It was like the plumber that's 60 with a beer belly. It's like, oh yeah, this is what you get from like a hard life. I was lost, bro. I was lost. Like Chris Barnett, when he hit his front flip and landed, you could see his abs still shake underneath the layers. Gian Villante's got a fucking keg, and it's a real ass keg, baby. Ain't nobody draining that thing. It's
One
fat.
of those alcoholic bellies. But man, so round 2. I mean, without further ado, something that fucking Nostradamus himself couldn't have predicted what was about to take place. Spinning wheel kick, not from Corey Sandhagen didn't fight last night. It was from goddamn Chris Barnett, perhaps the fattest guy in the UFC. And just in general, a 5'9" guy landing a spinning wheel kick on a 6'3" guy. I mean, the hip flexibility, how high he got that kick up.
He almost went 180 with his legs, like on a wheel kick, which is like you shouldn't have to go 180 for that, bro. But he did.
It was so impressive.
It was amazing.
He had an amazing celebration, amazing. I mean, he's a very fun guy. He's a very fun guy. He did himself a lot of favors.
His post-fight was great with Villante, like giving him the stage essentially for it being his last fight. And like,
that was cool.
What a fun guy, man.
Managed to combine fun and classiness. Usually it's an either or. Usually it's like, oh, this guy's classy, took the high road, but snooze boring. Or it's like, oh, this guy was ratcheting out of line, but it was wildly and entertaining. We kind of got best of both worlds. We kind of got to have our cake and eat it too. He was very classy, very respectful, while still having a ton of fun, still being super entertaining. Did himself a lot of favors. I mean, for example, I love using my wife as just a real life, like anecdotal evidence of.
That's like perfect. She is your perfect outside fan.
Because she's not like she's not oblivious. Like she knows UFC. Like she was stoked to watch Rose fight last night, but she's also just not balls deep in it like we are. And then she was like, "This is one of my new favorite fighters." And she's not the only one. This was on ESPN Plus. I mean, there had to be a lot of Chris Barnett had to win a lot of fans last night. I'll be real, including me, because like I said, the Ben Rothwell fight gave us zero to give a fuck about. Like, why would we even care about Chris Barnett? I was low key a little before the fight. I'll be real. I was like, why is he on this card?
I literally thought they were trying to give Villante a win out of the UFC.
Me too. And so, I mean, but the walkout, the post-fight, the entertaining in the cage action, checked so many boxes, did himself so many favors. He's definitely going to be back. People definitely want to see him fight. And I mean, it was so much fun. I mean, Villante said, I don't think usually I'm bummed whenever somebody like doesn't go out on top. He didn't earn it, right? He didn't show up and take it serious enough.
Villante?
Yeah, Villante.
He looks like he didn't give a fuck about this fight.
That's what I'm saying. Usually I feel bad for the guys that lose their last fight, but in Villante's case,
he didn't give a damn.
Yeah, it's hard to feel sympathy for a guy who like kind of didn't take it seriously. It looked like he was collecting one last check, got knocked out, earned that check the hard way. And yeah, man, like I said, I think in a night that was set up to kind of honor Gian Villante, it ended up being all about Chris Barnett. Stole the show. A lot of fun.
Let me ask you this. How many times have you seen a guy throw a wheel kick and put his hand on the ground behind him when he throws the wheel kick because he's just too top-heavy and he couldn't stay standing without a hand on the ground? Well, that's amazing. Chris Barnett, people.
It was amazing. Like, it looked like, I don't know, like something that would go viral, not that something that would happen in the UFC octagon. You know what I mean?
It would go viral the same way as like when you see like Fat Boy front flip. You know what I'm saying? Like a TikTok video of like 12 seconds of like a dude that's 350 pounds like cleaning a front flip, and you're like, how does he do that? Same thing with this guy. You're like, how did he do that? Can I do that? I can't do that. How did he do that?
It's crazy. And then I think he put out a tweet, or maybe he even answered Megan O'Leary, I forget, but I saw some quote that said like, how do you move like that at your size? And he was like, mentally, I'm 170. He said mentally he's a 170 pounder. So yeah, funny guy, charismatic guy, talented guy, dangerous guy,
Talented,
not the most
flexible,
in shape
dangerous.
guy.
Not in shape. If he would literally get a nutritionist, he would be so dangerous.
He needs to move to
If he could
Vegas.
fight 205, he'd be so dangerous.
No, he's a fun one though. He's a fun one. He is what he
Super
is.
fun. I will say too, in his post-fight interview, they were asking him like, he has a bald spot on the top of his head, and below it he has a ponytail at the back, which is even funnier. Like there's levels to this guy's funny, and that one's off the charts. But like they asked him like, are you stoked? Are you pumped? Like how you feeling? He was like, yeah, man, I'm super happy. Like, even after the Rothwell loss, like that's, my foot in the door here. Like, so I knew what I was getting into, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, honestly, I just want people to smile and have fun with their life every day. He was like, life's too short. That's what he kept saying was life's too short. I think he's had some losses in his life that's like really kind of showed him like, yo, appreciate every moment for what it could be, not what it is, which is a great outlook to have.
Yeah, for sure, man. Likeable guy. Also, I don't want to miss this one-liner that he said. I think this is up there with Derek Lewis, my balls is hot. And he was kind of
I know where you're going.
but he's like, this guy has the head of a cinder block. My
Yeah.
foot is on fire.
My foot's on fire right now. My heel's on fire. That was one of the funniest things I heard in so long.
No, that was great. That was great. But yeah, man, Chris Barnett, plus 110 underdog, cashes, a lot of fun. And like I said, I definitely care more about his next fight than I did about this fight coming into it. So he did his job.